A Murder of Ghosts. Written by Evie is Evil. Chapter 2. Trigger warnings for this chapter include reference to panic attacks. You guys free to play Doom tonight? It was a Friday afternoon, and Casper I had just let out for the week. Students poured off campus, chatting in groups as they walked in all different directions. Danny was walking home with Sam and Tucker like he does every day. Sure, my parents are out for the weekend, so I'm free anytime tonight, Danny replied, walking backwards down the street facing his friends. I'll have to join later. My parents will be pissed if I don't join them for dinner, Sam moaned, dragging a hand down her face. Skip too many family dinners? Tucker teased. That, and I think some other famous rich kid went missing recently. They do care about me, just in their own way, Sam sighed, looking reserved. Man, that's... Tucker was cut off by a distant barking. What? As Danny turned to see what was causing the commotion, a small green bulldog pounced, tackling him. Cujo, buddy, get off! He laughed as the small ghost dog covered his face in slobbery licks. The dog pretty quickly jumped off him and started barking at his feet. What is it, boy? Danny crouched a bit to look down at him. Cujo then trotted a few feet down the street before turning back and continuing to bark. It looks like he wants you to follow him, Sam said, tilting her head in curiosity. He's never done that before. Danny also tilted his head in confusion. Cujo trotted back to the group and started tugging on Danny's pant cuff. Cujo, stop! Whoa! Danny's leg was pulled out from under him by the small dog, and he fell back into his friend's arms. He quickly switched his grip to be holding on to his friend's arms as Cujo tugged harder, lifting his feet off the ground. A short game of tug-of-war was started with Danny as the rope. I think Cujo really wants you to follow him. Both Sam and Tucker laughed at him while he struggled to hold on. With a final tug, Cujo managed to pull him free and dragged him down the street by his leg. Okay, Danny laughed. I'll go see what Cujo wants, and I'll catch up with you guys later. He pulled himself up off the sidewalk. Going ghost! 2 white rings expanded from his center as he transformed. His jeans and NASA print t-shirt turning into a mostly black jumpsuit with white gloves and boots. His hair went from black to white, and his eyes from an ocean blue to glowing green. He hovered a few feet above the ground before turning to fly after the excitedly barking ghost pup. Cujo led Danny through the streets of Amity Park. It wasn't uncommon for the people of the town to spot their local ghost hero swooping through the streets. Sometimes they shouted out greetings, but most ignored him. In the last year, ghost attacks had become really common, and while the townspeople didn't love Phantom at first, they came around eventually, after he stopped, frankly, way too many attacks. Danny was brought from his musings when he recognized the path Cujo was taking. It was his regular walk home, plus a couple extra flights through buildings. The tall metal structure on top of the Fenton Works building rose up within his sight. Cujo flew forward through the front door of the brick townhouse, while Danny hesitated, hovering just outside the property line. The dog popped his head back through the door and barked once in curiosity. Just a sec, bud. Danny de-transformed before he stepped past the property line. It made him nervous being Phantom on the property. He knew his parents were out of town by now. He thinks they said something about a ghost convention. He doesn't really listen to their rants about ghosts anymore. Too many times the conversation has turned to them talking about wanting to rip Phantom apart molecule by molecule, and going into gory detail. He was lucky Jazz still tried her best to switch those conversations away to different topics. Anyways, his parents had upped the house ghost sensors. While he and Jazz disabled as many as they could, his parents kept turning them back on. His house often becoming a minefield of ectoblasters and ectonets. He hasn't shown up as Phantom on the property in months outside of emergencies because of this. Danny called Cujo back to him with a whistle and picked up the wriggling pup into his arms. Unlocking the front door, he called up to his sister. Jazz, I'm home! Cujo barked right after him in a happy greeting. Oh, Danny, give me a sec. Was that Cujo? Jazz called from upstairs. Yeah, Danny shouted back. How was school? She asked, descending the stairs from the upper floor. It was fine. Right then, Cujo wriggled out of his arms and stood by the basement door barking. "Is he all right?" Jazz asked her younger brother. "I don't know. I think he's been trying to show me something with the portal or ghost zone. You should probably get cracking on that then, Phantom," she said while teasingly ruffling his hair. "Love you, little brother." "Aw, get off." Danny playfully swatted her hand away, all while grinning. "Be safe. Come back for dinner. I'm ordering Chinese." "Okay, Jazz. Love you." He set off down the stairs to his parents' basement lab. Chills went down his spine as he stepped off the bottom stair. He never got over the creepy air the lab exuded. The tables littered with ectoplasm-filled beakers and flasks, torn-apart gadgets, and OSHA violation cable extender plug messes. Who is he kidding? The whole lab is an OSHA violation, and definitely a violation of numerous other laws and codes. Why the city hasn't done anything about it? Who knows? The portal his parents built took up the entire far wall. These days, Danny just left the doors to it open. Why close them if his parents were just going to open them again to run experiments? Besides, they were never ecto-proof, and ghosts could just phase through it as easily as any wall. The swirling green of the portal still showed up in his nightmares sometimes, alongside bright flashes and searing pain. As much as he doesn't want to think about it, his death did affect him. For a couple weeks after his accident, he refused to touch any glaring buttons or switches. He chose to either keep his room lights off all the time or used something like a pencil to flick them on or off. During rough nights, he still reverts to this after awakening from nightmares, and he'll stumble around in the dark. He also still flinches at the sound of electricity. Jazz told him it was normal to have reactions like this one time after he had a panic attack in class during a science demonstration. The teacher was doing a demonstration on Tesla coils, and he had shut down. He had frozen in place and refused to move or speak. He had to be escorted to the nurse's office by Sam, and when she wasn't able to calm him down there, the nurse had called Jazz from class. He still gets embarrassed thinking about that incident. He took a couple deep breaths to shake off the memories before transforming back into Phantom. Cujo got excited at this and started barking vigorously before diving into the portal. Okay, I'm coming," Danny laughed before diving in after him. Floating islands and purple doors passed by in blurs as Danny sped after his ghostly guide. He followed behind Cujo for a handful of minutes, the ghost dog speeding up now that he had Danny's full concentration. He led Danny to a part of the realms he had never visited before. Less islands and more hovering doors. Cujo finally slowed, rounding a door before continuing to bark on the other side. "What is it, boy?" Danny peeked around the door and was greeted by the sight of a short boy, curled up in a fetal position. He was covered in a blood-soaked, colorful uniform. Cujo smiled at Danny, ran up to the costume boy, licked his face once, looked back at Danny, barked once more, and disappeared. Danny floated there in shock, peering around one of the numerous purple doors. One last little reader's note from me. I'd ask that you guys please be patient as I try and work out kinks such as volume levels of my recording. I still don't have a good mic setup, and I'm recording in my bedroom at home, and I'm going to be going to my uni bedroom pretty soon. So the mic might be a little rough between episodes. And I'm also going to try and work out character voices. I don't know how different they'll be. I'm still trying to work that out. But thank you guys for listening, and I hope you bear with me for the rest of this fic. Thank you. And that is the end of Chapter 2. Thank you for listening.